On YouTube, it's me, BD Heath, and we're back with more Owl House reaction content, kinda. So, as most of you know that watched my episode 5 reaction video, by the way, thank you for that. We got 6,000 views in less than 2 days. That's astonishing for this channel, in all fairness, because we don't really see views like that around here that often, really. I mean, we have videos that get above like 10,000 views occasionally, but I was not expecting that to blow up as much as it did, and I cannot thank you enough for that. But on to what I was going to talk about now. So the reason why we're doing a discussion of episodes 1 through 4 is because right now, my current reactions to episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, regardless of what I do, it does not matter how I change it, they are going to be blocked when uploaded. And it's because I did not know the certain schematics, that's not the right word, editing behind the actual making of those episodes. So when I recorded them, I didn't actually do them like I did the episode 5 one, which is how that one is uploaded and the other 4 aren't, which sucks because I can't record a genuine reaction to those episodes anymore because it's not fair to you or me, because that's not right. But at the same time, that does not mean I cannot talk about them, which is why this video is being made right now. I don't expect this to be it's going to be a little bit longer of a video, I would assume, because I'm doing this and not reacting to the video at the same time, and I'm talking about 4 episodes, not just 1, but I'll do my best to keep it underneath a half an hour. If it goes a little bit above, I'm sorry. And before you guys click off the video because this isn't an actual reaction, I'm going to theorize predictions for episode 6. That might be out tomorrow, I don't know for sure. So if you want to check out that video at some point, it'll be uploaded the next day, I think. So today is going to be the discussion of episodes 1 through 4. Tomorrow is going to be the tomorrow is going to be the theorizing behind episode 6 and what I think might happen. But now then, we're going to start from the beginning of season 2 with Separate Tides, season 2, episode 1. This episode, I think I would give this episode really just overall great rating, because it was a great way to start the show again. It's like, it's not anything like you have to like consistently worry about, like you're not jumping from space to space and not knowing what's going on. They flow it right off of the last season, like I think they said a 2-week difference. I think that's what Luz said. And Luz is now sending videos to her mom. They aren't being delivered, but she's making them, so she's more comfortable telling her mom about where she actually is, but they aren't sending to her mom's phone because, you know, internet connection. You know, the Boiling Isles doesn't have internet connection. It has like the Hootie internet connection where you have Hootie mail, you know, like we all know this. So, with that being said, so her mom still does not know what's going on in this episode. I'm not going off of everything I know from every episode. We're going off of the episode order. So this is what I would know at the time if I watched that episode without knowing anything else after it. So this is just season 2, episode 1. This episode consisted of Luz, King, Ida, Lilith, Hootie, and the ship crew and the Golden Guard. And I had some great reactions to the Golden Guard that I wish I could put on screen. I can't, I'm sorry. But I had wonderful reactions to the Golden Guard. I love his character. I love his voice actor as well. Amazing guy. And I love the way they formed that character off of the season 1 finale into season 2. It was phenomenal. His character is funny. He's serious, he's funny, he's dangerous, he's a comedian, like name it. Like, he's amazing, he's awesome. And after he was released, everyone thought that Edric was dating him. So I mean, I'm not sure what to really take off of that point of interest. It's possible, but then again, I don't really know what's going on with that yet. Nobody really does, and that's out of episode 5. So with that, that's how that's really working out. There was no Lumity in episode 1, which honestly I think is what I kind of preferred, honestly, because I know that we all want to see Lumity moments, but it doesn't need to happen every single episode, which is something that the fandom likes yet hates. And that makes sense, because you're not going to want to, like, as much as we want to see Lumity content, you can't throw it in every single episode, because then it feels like you're just forcing it at that point, and nobody wants it forced. You just want it to be genuine, which sucks, because the show is ending after season 3, but that's a different video too. Anyways, season 2, episode 1 was great, because it showed how Luz was growing as a character in the Boiling Isles, how Ida is actually really just trying to connect with Luz more after she has been helping out so much in the Owl House, because Ida and Lilith both don't have magic anymore, so she's no longer the strongest witch in the Boiling Isles, and Lilith isn't part of the Coven anymore, and they have no money, they're broke. So Luz is going out to get these bounties done, and Ida's trying to keep Luz safe at the same time. So she's making sure she does like little bounties, nothing major, so she doesn't get hurt because they can't afford to get her help or something. I think. Don't quote me on that. King was adorable in this episode. He was very funny, along with the Golden Guard. He was also really emotional when he said he was never letting Luz go back home again. I thought that was a really sweet moment with those two. The character development between Luz and Ida. Oh my god, that section in the end had me like tearing up almost because it was so emotional. Because like, and I'll get into this after I get done discussing episode 2, but that was so emotional right there because. I'm not saying her mom, right? I'm not saying her mom is a bad mother. What I'm saying is that it's hard for Luz to, like, she misses her mom like crazy. There's no question about it. But back at home, as she said this multiple times in season 1, and I think now season 2 as well, no one really gets her back at home. Like she was the oddball out. And so here in the Boiling Isles, she feels so comfortable. And that's why she's so happy there. So when Ida goes out of her way to tell her that no matter, like you can do a million things for me, just because you're doing that, it doesn't make me feel better. Like she said that she's glad. What was it? What did she say again? Mouth English. I forgot. I actually forgot. And some terms and to sum it up, she basically said that she's glad to be friends with Luz the human, and Luz was crying there almost herself. At the end of that episode, they ended up getting money from, I forget the name of the creature. Don't hate me. And the Golden Guard assumes the creature's dead, so he flies off on his magic technology broom that I don't even know the name of yet. And that takes care of that. After that happens, they go back to the Owl House where Lilith and Hootie have now connected, because Lilith and Hootie, those two had a character development scene as well. Because the last time we saw both of those two on screen at the same time was when Hootie was attacking Lilith with the Coven, and then in the next time they're in an episode, Hootie's trying to help Lilith, which is really interesting because we've never seen that before. And then Lilith or Lulu and Hootie or Hootsufer became a thing, which is really good because like they have a great friendship. I really am glad that they had a friendship for that episode. It was really nice to see it happen because Lilith already feels bad for Ida because she gave her the curse. Luz because she captured her and nearly got them all killed. I'm not sure if she did anything to King, but King goes off of what Ida's feeling, so there's that. And while Ida doesn't hate her sister, King hate's a strong word. King doesn't like Lilith because of what's been going on because of her. That's the best way I think I can put that. Like, King doesn't hate her, but he also doesn't like her. He's in that, like, that middle balance area, like New Balance shoes, you know? That's what I'm saying. But yeah, overall, Season 2, Episode 1, great episode. And then it ended with Emperor Belos at the door, the portal door, saying, "Knock, knock, human," which was what I thought was going to be, like, a later scene in the season. But, hey, the trailer that they showed for this entire season, half of the scenes have already happened in the first 5 episodes, and I don't even know where the rest of them are going to happen yet. Like, there's so much more to happen in the season, and we're only in episode 5. Well, episode 6 now, if you count this week's, but it's crazy. Okay, but no, that leads into Season 2, Episode 2, which I forget the name of it, actually. Hold on, let me pull it up. I'm looking at the episodes while I'm listing this stuff off. Brain... Escaping Expulsion? Am I dumb? Escaping Expulsion. This was the first Lumity episode, if you want to call it that, of the season. But what I call it meeting the Blights, basically, because you're meeting all of the Blights finally on screen at the same time in the same episode, which is something that I'm really happy about because we had not met Adalia, and I don't know why the dad's name is out of my head right now, but we met the mom, the dad, we've already met Edric and Amira, and we met, of course, Amity. We've known Amity for quite a while, so there's that. But it was interesting to see them all on screen at the same time. We haven't seen Edric and Amira with the parents yet, which is something that I find interesting as well. I was intrigued by that because I want to see a conversation between them, because that's going to be interesting to me and everyone else in the fandom as well. But anyways, back to the episode. It was interesting to see Amity being used, like literally being used to get her parents money for the creations that their father is making, and it was really weird because it was it was really odd, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, Amity has the Grom picture in her outfit, which was really interesting, because I was like, oh, and I was like, oh wait, that's bad. I was like that, like I was like yes, and I was like no at the same time, because after it fell out of her shirt and the abomination almost stepped on it, then she ripped it in half, and her parents were clearly not doing well with business after that happened. And then her mother, Adalia, took it upon herself to bombard the school and the principal and get Luz, Gus, and Willow all expelled. And if we're being honest here, now some people would be like, "Oh, well, it's just Luz she cares about in the picture." No, no. The thing that the fandom sometimes forgets is that I know she has a stronger bond with Luz. There's no question about that. Like she wants to have something more from Luz at some point, but people forget that Willow was her childhood friend that she abandoned and now is trying to get back with. And Gus is just Gus, dude. Gus is an amazing character, and everyone loves Gus. So she likes Gus, too. There's no question about that. So, you know, Gus and Willow are also close friends of hers. People sometimes forget that. Like, people are like, well, she just cares about losing that photo. No, she cares about all three of those people in that photo. There's not even a difficult conversation to have with that. Those three are her most important people in her life, other than Edric, Amira, her father, and her mother, probably. I know it's her mom, but it's her, it's her mother, So, yeah, I mean, so while people will be upset that I'm saying this, it's the truth. Like, she has a strong connection with all three of them. And while Luz is significantly stronger, Willow and Gus are still very close to her as well. That's all I'm trying to say. But no, and then, next thing you know, Luz confronts Adalia, who then she gives Luz their card to their house. She asks Amity for help. Amity turns her down because she's scared again, which makes sense. I mean, like, in Amity's situation, she's been doing that pretty much her entire life because she wants her parents to be proud of her, but she also doesn't want to defy them at the same time, ever, and she can never get her way with that either, which is the other problem. And then the turning point is when Luz shows up to the Blight's house and decides to do what Amity's job would have been if Amity had showed up in time. Luz didn't go to the house in the first place, because then Luz was the target practice dummy. And then this is where we got our first Luz blushing moment towards Amity. Like, we've had Luz blushing in the series before this, but the reason why this blush from Luz was so important was that in this moment, what people believe, what I believe as well, and what multiple people believe, is that this is where Luz started to have feelings towards Amity. And I'm saying this because, like, we all have seen this scene before, if not 100 times, where Luz is fighting is it the Abomatron 2.0? I think that's what it's called, off the top of my head. And then she's fighting it, and then she finally thinks she has the drop on it, and then she thinks she's gonna die, because it literally forms a giant, like, battle axe out of its hand, and then Amity rips the thing, well, she doesn't rip the thing, she rips the hands in half so that it can't attack Luz. And then Amity, with so much power and emotion and everything you could ask for, goes, "Stay away from my Luz," and then everyone screamed and died internally, because it was the cutest scene and also a badass scene at the same time. Thank you. And then after that, Luz only said Amity, like, she was like, Amity? Like, what? Oh my god, Amity. And then after that, we skip over to Lilith, Hootie, and Ito, who I just didn't mention until now, but those three were actually making different. Why do I forget every word that comes to my mind? They're not called symbols. I know what they're called. Oh god. Glyphs. Thank you, brain. They're making different glyphs because they can't do magic like they usually could, so they're having to do the same thing that Luz does, which is how she draws them out on paper, and then she touches them and they come to life. And so that's the way that Ida and Lilith were doing that, but they were actually making new ones out of it. So at the time, Ida wasn't taking her time with it, and Lilith definitely was learning it faster than Ida was. So Ida, on accident, made a really bad cast of a glyph, which started consuming the entire interior of the Owl House and King. And then Lilith wants to do an experiment with it, and then after she says that, like, exact line, I like to try an experiment, we go back over to the Blight Manor again, where we have Amity being a badass up on the top of the building, and then you have Luz over here, and you have Abomination over here. She then jumps down in between Luz and the Abomatron. She breaks the necklace around her neck that Adalia had for her to talk to her without talking to her, and then she just breaks it. She's like, "No, I'm done with you." And I like the crossing point was Luz, which is also something that makes me like squeal, because you cross the line when you mess with Luz. Like, that's the part that makes me really happy, which is also confusing. I think it was just because like it wasn't like endangering her life before, but once it was endangering her actual like health, she was like, "Yep, no, gotta stop that right now. That's not allowed." So Amity shut that shit down real quick. After that happened, she turned around and said, "Luz, are you okay?" And then Luz went not full tomato like she did in episode 5, but she was blushing a decent bit, and I think that's when she realized she had emotions towards Amity that she just hadn't really seen before in herself, which is something that none of us had actually seen her do either. Because before, she was like, as much as she was like being nice around Amity and so forth, Luz had not blushed to anything that Amity had done yet in the show prior to this episode, which is why this episode, to me and a lot of other people, is the turning point where Luz said, "Oh, wow, I have feelings for Amity." And then that comes up again as episode 5, but we've all seen episode 5, and I've discussed episode 5, and even though I probably will discuss it again in this video, now we're talking about it right now. So after that, that blush, Amity has a really emotional speech about how Willow, Gus, and Luz are the people that... Gus, Willow, and Luz are the people that are like role models of her for who she wants to be in the future, which is really emotional because it shows us that she wants to be nothing like her mother, how she wants to be the top witch all the time, be snobby and rude to everybody. She wants to be like those three because they're passionate and caring for other people, and it was so emotional at the time as well. And then, Luz gets up and they both look at each other and they both turn into like actual tomatoes for the first time. We've ever seen that before, where they both exchange a look of tomato-ness, which was really crazy because that had me screaming as well. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "What the heck?" Because it was quick, but it was also meaningful, which was also another thing that happened in that episode. It was really just whoa. And then after that, Amity tries to deal with her mom, where she will fake her getting hurt if she lets Luz, Willow, and Gus back into Hexside. She agrees. They do the thing. Adalia lets them back into school, and after that, I think that after that, the Golden Guard visited the Blight Manor, where then, where then he said that he doesn't like, Emperor Belos doesn't like people making private weapons without his jurisdiction, which was another thing that I found interesting because I was going in my head, I was like, so do the Blights know that Belos is like planning something and they wanted to prepare? Or were they just doing this because they want to be the most powerful witches in the Boiling Isles? Like, I don't know. Like, that was my thing with that part right there. But then it was really sweet when Luz got back to the Owl House, because then we saw where Lilith had helped Ida fix her glyph error, which was where she combined multiple glyphs and like made the thing that happened disappear. Lilith made a statue of Luz, and then Ida made a little ball, which was cute. But then Luz as a teacher was really cute for both Ida and Lilith to see that happen again. Hootie was with Lilith again, some more character development there. And other than that, I think that's about it, actually. I think that's about everything that's there. And it wraps up episode 2, which leads us into episode 3, Echoes of the Past. And look, I understand I'm like going through these like really talking fast and like not giving them... How do I say this? Like, they're getting the attention they need, but you probably want to hear more about it. I would do that, except in my mind, you wouldn't want to watch me talk about the same episode for 40 minutes straight, which is why I'm trying to get like the key points out of the episodes gone and done with, and then that way we can talk about other things as well that keep you interested in the conversation. So this is episode 3, which is Echoes of the Past, which is centered around King. That's the same reason I like this episode, is because it's centered around King's past and Ida's past, evidently, which is why I love this episode so much, because it's how they met, and and while Luz is in it and Lilith's in it and Hootie's in it, and there's humor with all those other characters, the episode centers around King, which is something I love about this, is because how do I say this right? So episode 5, right? It was centered around Gus, but it was also centered around Lumity at the same time. And while the people were like, oh, well, Gus didn't get the episode he deserved, blah, 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 and I partially agree with that statement, I also agree with the fact that Lumity was very strong in that episode, and it made the episode as well. But so did Gus. The part that, like, even though how to say this, while people see the fandom more excited about Lumity, they are excited about Gus getting his own main plot in an episode. Because when you look at the episode length and the time for the subplot and the main plot of that episode, Gus did get more screen time overall, and it just is overlooked a lot occasionally by the few minutes of Lumity we get in that episode, which is kind of sad to say, but at the same time, I'm not going to complain about Lumity being in that episode either, because Gus alone in that, like, while he may be overlooked, he still had an amazing story in that episode, and that's why I like King's episode a little more than episode 5 in retrospects to main character arc stories, because King was the central focus of the episode. He was the only focus of that episode, while episode 5 was a mixture of Gus and Lumity, which is fine, but it's not centered on Gus then, or Lumity. It's a mixture of the two. And again, no problem there, but it does make people like go, well, why didn't we get more of Gus, or why didn't we get more of this? And the answer is that because there's two plots. With two plots, you're going to go back and forth a lot between the two of them. And while Gus did get more screen time overall, when you've got Lumity moments going on, which is the main fandom ship, it kind of distracts everyone from the actual main plot of the show. Or sorry, of that episode, I should say. So there's that. But with episode 3, it centers on King's past, and we start out with Ida when she's younger, fleeing to some island because she's still on the run, I'm assuming. And then it fades to black, introduction happens, so forth. After that happens, we then get a view on the Owl House where Luz is working on making her own experimental glyphs, where she turns herself invisible for the first time, which is awesome because we've never seen a glyph like that before where you can go invisible, which freaked out King. Lilith was impressed, and Hootie was Hootie, so there's that. And Ida was upstairs. And so what was interesting about that whole sequence was that King was still worried about losing Luz, puns, and then Lilith was impressed because she wanted to learn how to do that herself, and Hootie was just kind of like having fun with Lilith. I mean, it was. I think Luz's comment to King was, "No, I think they're actually friends." It was like, that's so mean to Hootie though, because like, and the thing is that I guess is that Hootie kind of like irritates everybody else at the Owl House occasionally. It's like, okay, we get it, but with Lilith, it was like Lilith and Hootie have a really good connection, which is why I was actually episode later, but no. So seeing that happen with their friendship was really nice, and then after King and Lilith got into it with Hootie. Sorry, after Lilith and Hootie got into it with King about how King is the king of demons, King said he'd prove it to him, so Hootie detaches himself from the door in a really disgusting manner. We don't see it, but we hear it, where he goes from the door into a birdhouse backpack, which is awesome, by the way. I want to buy that when it's out of merchandise on Disney. But that was really cool, and then the reactions of everyone else were really funny. And then King leaves a note saying, we're going back to my island. We see Ida freak out, which is our first instinct that we know, okay, something was not told to King, or Ida just knows something that we don't, which again is something that's not told to King. So she jumps in her flying bathtub, and then she goes and follows them, because Luz took Ida's staff, because either Ida isn't using it right now, or Luz is better with... I guess the question, how come Luz does have Ida's staff occasionally more than Ida does? Is it because Ida can't do any magic at all, and she knows Luz can do more magic than her right now? Like, actually, like, leave a comment down below. I'm actually curious about that question. And then, but no. And then Lilith took her staff with Hootie on her backpack. And again, great Hootie, Lilith character arc stuff, funny friendship moments and everything like that. We get to King's Island, which we see, and we get to see where all of King's playthings are. We see a bunch of murals on the wall where King was this huge, really huge demon. Lilith and Hootie, they buy into it. They're like, oh, this actually might be accurate. He actually might be telling the truth. And then Luz, on the other hand, is actually losing faith in it, because she's like, this doesn't make sense to me. And then one of those, I don't even know what they're called, it's like a guardian of that island area, follows Luz to King, which then follows them all out, and then Ida fights the thing, because Ida shows up in her bathtub of awesomeness, and then she flies down and she attacks it until everyone's outside the building, and then Ida tells King the king was never actually a king of demons that was then shrunk down into a small form. She found King in that building, and then took King with her back to the Owl House, where she basically raised him, which was really sweet, but also really heartbreaking for King, because everything he was told while he was growing up was a lie, that he was never the king of demons. So he breaks down, and I'm telling you right now, there is nothing sadder than seeing a character that you love. Sorry, how is this? There's nothing sadder than seeing a character that is always happy and having a great time. Like, even if they're, like, sad, but they're not actually sad. Like, he was actually, like, crying sad for the first time I've ever seen him do that before. And it was really heartbreaking for me, because I had to pause the episode. I was like, this is, like, really emotional, because it was so, like, heartbreaking to me, because we had never seen King actually be, like, genuinely distraught and upset before as bad as that in that episode. After that, Luz mentions the upper area where the rocks were that King had not been to yet. So King agrees with Luz to go up there, and then we get the Hootie Pain meme, which came out of that episode, which is a remarkable meme, by the way. Like, I mean remarkable, by the way. So that happens. And after that, Ida, Luz, and King go up to the main top area of the building, where King learns that he was, I believe he was being born at the time, but he had a father, which was the guy on the walls, which we do not know of just yet, which is also very interesting. So King has a father somewhere, and Luz, being Luz, agreed to help King find him. And then at the end of the episode, we're back at the Owl House. He took the Guardian with him, but the Guardian deactivates once they leave that temple area, so it's just kind of like a statue in the corner. But King is at the Owl House again. Everyone's at the Owl House again. They're all home. They're all safe. And I think that episode left us with a lot of cliffhangers and questions, too, because that one's like, okay, then who's King's father? And what was Ida running from at the time? Like, a lot of questions that we did not have the answers to from that episode, which is fine, because I love to not know things at times. But it was such a great episode because of everything they did in that episode. And I loved how they formed it, because it gave us emotion with how King was distraught, and then it gave us hope again when he found out he has a father somewhere out there, yet we have no idea where or who he is, which is something that we need to learn as well at some point in time. So that wrapped up episode 3 right there. And again, great episode. I loved the story behind it. I loved everything about it. Like, every single... I don't mean to say this in a bad way. With season 2, there's so much more focused on a major story than they really were in season 1. And I guess that's normal for shows, because in season 1 you're not meant to really have like a huge character arc story thing. It's mostly just going to be like, how are we going to get to where we need to get later? But at the same time, like, season 1, I mean, it had Belos, right? In my mind, the Owl House had the same kind of, like, season 1 that Gravity Falls did in a respectful way, because with, like, how, like, journal number 1 was always missing for Gideon. We never found it. And then we found out Grunkle Stan had it the entire time, and it ended like that. And then, literally, the Owl House ended the same kind of way, with the same thing. It's a door to a different world. It's the same ending. It's like, except that one's a triangle, and this one's an actual door. It's a nice parallel. But, to me, season 2, it's just been banger after banger after banger episode, and it's so nice that way for me, because like I'm not saying the show's been boring before, but before we've had episodes where it's kind of like, okay, well, what's this leading up to in the main story arc of the season, and season 1, and then you look at these episodes, and each one has a purpose for the next one, and that's why I love the lead up for them. But with episode 4, we meet Ida and Lilith's mother, and I kid you not, I actually did not see her. Like, usually I'm the kind of guy that be on Instagram and Twitter and see, like, leaks ahead of time, or like the promo, whatchamacallit thing, like the image beforehand. But because I reacted to it at midnight when I recorded this episode, and I did not see anything on Instagram or Twitter somehow, I did not actually see her mom on screen yet, except for the trailer version. So I saw her, I was like, oh my god, this character is so sweet and loving. And then you watch the episode, and she's still sweet and loving, but she also is a badass and dangerous as shit, which is awesome. But the summary of this episode was that their mother stops by to try to help them get rid of the curse, and she only knows that Ida has it. Lilith never actually told her mother that she had the curse herself. She just either forgot or she just didn't have the chance to tell her. And it's sad like that because their mother focuses more on Ida than Lilith unintentionally. But it does happen, and that's normal in every family. Well, not every family, again, some family. But if you're looking at it, some families tend to give more attention to some children than the other, even if it is unintentional. It happens. It's normal in life. It's going to happen at some point, or it's going to happen with some families, and it's normal in that retrospect. So when you see it happen in a TV show, it's kind of like, oh wow, I'm not alone. And that's why I kind of like the gist of this episode as well, at the end when Lilith got her attention as well with her mother. And that build-up with the end with Lilith and Hootie was so sad as well. But okay, I'm at the end of the episode already. Hold on. Their mom shows up at the Owl House saying that she's found a cure again, because in the past, when she tried to help Ida, when she just tried to help Ida alone, Ida left the house, found the door to the Earth, to Earth, like the portal door. Then she took the portal door to Earth, because she found it in the ground. That's what the found interesting as well, was that the portal door was in the ground, just sitting there, which is something I found very interesting. But then she took it to Earth, and then it jumps to the current day, which is where she has no magic, portal door's destroyed, and they have no way to get Luz home. And that was interesting alone right there, because it was like how the portal door get there in the first place, and it's just question on question that will get answered over time, but it's still interesting to think about it while you don't know the answers for it at all. But then, once we get into this episode more, once we get into this episode more in depth, we find out more about the mother, how she's always been trying to heal Ida's curse since she first had it, but that she's not been able to work at anything at all. So she goes to this guy, I don't even remember his name because it was a really odd character. Looked like Glossaryck's like older cousin or something from like Star vs. Force of Evil. But regardless, he heals people and helps those in need with the book and volumes of books of wisdom, which is all a bunch of bullshit. But we don't know that when we first, we have no idea at first. But then we find out over time that the book is just misleading her because she's doing things that does not actually help Ida in the slightest bit at all. Like she believes they are, but even Luz is like, these are not helping her at all. And then we find out that she then takes all of the apple blood? I think it's apple blood. She takes all the apple blood out of the owl house. All of it. They had like so much of that in there, and she takes all of it out of the owl house and puts it in a bag so that Ida and Lilith can't use it. And then at the Owl House, we don't actually see this happen with the mother, but Lilith then goes through her transformation into her. It's not her. Is it called a rape? I think it's called like it's not, she. Oh my God, English. The owl beast form of Lilith happens, which then takes place, which is why in that time span it's bad. Because then you have Ida and Lilith as the owl beasts, and then they start fighting each other, and you're like, oh shit, we've got to do something. So Luz tries to go and buy some apple blood for a drawing, it doesn't work. Then the mother shows up after beating literally scaring the living hell out of the phonies who were doing that book shit, and then brings the apple blood into the main town. She then talks to both her daughters, they hug it out. We then go back to the owl house again, where we find out that the mom is leaving, and then she's still going to do her best to try to find a cure without getting scammed. Then we find out Lilith is leaving the Owl House, and then Lilith and Hootie have a little separation moment, which was kind of cute yet sad but funny, because she went, don't worry, we can be pen pals, and Hootie goes, well, while crying, but I can't hold a pen, which was really sad yet funny to me. I was like, that's really sad, but it's also really stupidly funny, because it's true. And then after that happens, they leave. King didn't even know Lilith was even living there, which was also something that was really funny. And then the reason why episode 5 subplot happens, is because Ida and Lilith's mother told Luz about a book in the library that would help her find out more about humans living in the Boiling Isles, which is how we even get the subplot for Lumity in episode 5 because of that story in the end of episode 4, which carried over right episode to episode, which is something that was really nice to know about. And then after that, it was just in episode 5. We've watched episode 5. It's on the channel. Again, 6,000 views in underneath 2 days. Don't know how that happened, but I cannot thank you guys enough for that, honestly. And then season episode 5, remarkable. I'm still watching the Lumity kiss to this day, literally on repeat. Like in my head, you can't see it. It's on repeat permanently for the last, what is today? Tuesday? It's Tuesday morning. I have had that scene stuck in my head for the last 3 days. It has not left my mind once at all. I'll be sitting down. I went to a baseball game yesterday, and in inning 6. I wasn't even I wasn't looking at my phone. I was looking at the game, but the only thing I'm actually seeing in my mind is that scene on repeat still. And it was Sunday. Like, you think I'd actually be doing something else, but no, I'm sitting down at a baseball stadium watching a baseball game. The only thing I'm thinking of is episode 5. Like, that's literally all I was doing. A great game, by the way. It was a great baseball game, but no. And episode 5 was great, just like the other 4. And all these episodes, they have great stories, they have great endings, they have great plots and subplots intertwined in the episode. Lumity moments were great. I love seeing Willow and Gus's character growth as well. I love learning more about their families. So much stuff in these episodes that I love seeing in the first 5 episodes alone. We're only 5 episodes in, people. We got another 20 episodes to go. And that's another thing I want to discuss right now, but that's going to be a future video as well. And if you've actually stuck around this long in the video, 36 minutes full through in, we have to talk about 2 things right now. 1, again, I'll be discussing Season 6 theories tomorrow, possibly, on my next upload. So look out for that. That'll be up at some point soon, after this is up. But another thing I'm going to talk about. I found this out today in a live stream that Dana Terrace did herself, that she said that Disney has already confirmed and made sure that after Season 3, that will be it. There's you can't add any more episodes to Season 3. That's it. Now, what she did say was that we can still do shorts or what's the other thing called? It's like another version of the show, but it's not the main characters. A spin-off, yeah, that thing. She announced we could do more of those in the future, but what someone mentioned that I'm not sure where it came from exactly. I think it was the person that actually voices the Golden Guard. He mentioned that just because we can't have a Season 3 continuation doesn't mean we can't have a Season 4. So there's a petition going on right now on Google. I'm not sure. Like, if you Google it, you'll find it, where it's like a petition saying, let's get an Owl House Season 4 episode going. And this Friday, I think it's July 16th, I think? July 16th? Yeah. July 16th, what's going to be trending on Instagram and Twitter, apparently, is Save the Owl House and the Owl House Season 4. And they're going to be trending hashtags on Instagram and Twitter, apparently. At least that's what I've heard from everything, all the sources I've heard so far, but that's just me. And personally, my personal opinion, I'm in the middle. And I know that sounds, people are like, why would you be in the middle? And here's the reason why. Gravity Falls is a great show, remarkable show, and it only had 2 seasons to its name. And while it, sure, people want to see more of that show too, but at the same time, it ended so well, it had phenomenal episodes, and while we probably could get more out of it, is it worth it if it ruins the ending we already have? Which is kind of what's going through my mind right now, because right now, in my mind, I'm going, okay, we're 5 episodes into Season 2 already, we're already getting Lumity content, we're getting a great story plot going. If the next 16 episodes of Season 2, plus the Season 3 episodes take place, and give us a good ending to this show, I will not complain, because it's a great ending then. It ends well, it's a great show, and there's nothing rushed into it. But the original plan for this show was to have 20 episodes in Season 3. That was the original plan. So for Disney to kind of cut that off and say, nope, you're only getting 3 episodes in Season 3 that are 44 minutes long, it kind of gives us all like a really bad feeling of, wow, are you serious? Are you for real right now? Which is why there's a lot of people pissed off at Disney right now, because a lot of people are convinced that it's not actually about the show carrying on too long. It's more about the fact that Luz and Amity are dating, and they don't really do a lot of bi or lesbian or gay kind of stuff in Disney shows at all, or movies at all, which is really actually accurate, because I think this is one of the first times we've actually seen it on screen ever from a Disney show. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct about that. But I think my point in saying this is that The Owl House is a great show. I would hate to see it get carried into an extra season, and then that season isn't as good as the older seasons, and then we get content we either regret getting or we don't like. And I know that sounds like rough to say. I don't think that's actually even a possibility with this show in particular, but anything's possible with any show. Which is why I'm saying that maybe ending the show in 3 seasons isn't exactly a bad thing. It sucks, but it's not a bad thing. Because, hold on, I want to keep talking as well. But just because a show is on the air, like it's live, it's going on currently, doesn't mean that it's automatically supposed to go forever. It means that it's going to last while it grabs an audience attention. And while that is very true and very accurate, I don't see the point of carrying out a show if it eventually gets to a point where people are upset because of how the episode actually went along with it. And that, in my mind, does make sense. But yeah, you look at Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls, it has 41 episodes to it. That's it, 41. That's all it has. And in those 40 episodes, they made one of the best Disney TV shows ever. And I don't even mean like that in a slightly exaggerated form at all. That is the best way I can put it. Gravity Falls was and still is one of the best Disney TV shows that was on Disney. And no one can change my mind on that. I still watch it to this day when I'm bored and have nothing else to do. Like, it is that good, and it's that great of a show. It's so well put together. And what's interesting is that it only has 2 seasons, which is something that's interesting, because even though it only has 41 episodes to its name, it is a remarkable show and fills in every single question or plot twist we have, which is something that The Owl House could also be doing. And that's the reason why I'm not mad if The Owl House ends after Season 3 yet, because if they fill in every hole every plot hole that's missing, every question we have and everything that's going on, and it fulfills our potential, the viewer's potential, there's not an issue there with me. If they do that, then I'm happy. But in my mind, I'm also going, but the original plan was to have 20 episodes in Season 3, and then we're only getting 6. That's where the problem comes in my mind, is that we're skipping over possibly 14 episodes of information that we either may need to know or was just filler. And since it's over half a season, I'm going to say it's probably not all filler. Most of it's probably important information. So the reason why I'm saying this is that while I do not agree with Disney's decision right now, I'm also not going to do anything about it right now either. Now, am I saying you can't? No. For all I care about, you go ahead and sign a petition. Please do. Get the show going still. I'm okay with it. But if the show is to have a good ending, like a genuine good ending, like it has a good ending, it's put together well, we have good character arcs, we have good ending character arcs, like etc., then I don't see the point in bringing the show, giving the show more episodes then. Because if it ends well, why would you want to ruin that ending that the show has put together then? That's all I'm trying to say. Because it's very true. The Owl House right now is probably at its highest viewing ever, I think. Which is why I think Disney's even debating ending it after Season 3, along with Dan Harris and the guy that voiced the whole cast. Shit. But but again, Dan announced this morning that it will not be changing season 3's length. Again, you can go onto Google, look up the petition for the Owl House season 4. There's one of those going on right now where we're getting a longer season 4. Sorry, we're even getting season 4 because people want that to happen because of how Disney's kind of cheap-shotting the Owl House. And again, I'm in the middle. I don't mean to be mean, but I am in the middle because, again, Gravity Falls, remarkable show, only had 2 seasons, and it's probably one of the best shows I've ever seen. And then you look at the Owl House, and while it is not finished, and see, the problem is that right there, the Owl House isn't like, it's not like we know what's going to happen and the rest of the Owl House TV show. It's not like we know the ending already. That's the problem with me, is that if I can't tell if I'm going to like this ending or not because I mean, like, who does? Like, no one knows, except the people that write the damn show. No offense. But my point is, the Owl House is a great show. I would hate to see it get screwed over by a bad ending and a bad rep because Disney cut it off at the source. So what I'm trying to say is that while I will not complain if it gets a solid good ending with great character arcs, Lumity of course, and everything else that's great about that show, Hootie, Ida, Lilith, etc., I will complain if the show is robbed of its potential in season 3 ending. That's all I'm trying to say. Because that show deserves a better ending than a cutoff because Disney said, you know what? No, the show needs to stop. So here's what I will say. I am going to say that I am on the side of signing the petition, but I'm not going to sign it yet. I'm going to see how the season unfolds still. And if we seem to be rushing into an ending, I'm about to sign everything I can find because I think that's fair to both Disney and me because that's fair to what I believe. But if the show does end well, everybody, and the show has a solid ending, please don't force people into doing something that they clearly don't want to ruin. Like, I know people want to get more out of the Owl House, but if it does end on a good note, why would we want to ruin that good ending? That's all I'm trying to say. And sure, it probably was Disney's doing, and while it is probably Disney's fault for ending the show early, while we won't get more out of the show, it ends on a good note, and there's nothing to complain about. That's the best way I can put that. But no, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you haven't, hit the like and subscribe button down below. I will do more of the Owl House for sure. I might start doing some animation or animatic reactions as well, because I have seen like 2 of them, and I want to react to more of them because they look amazing. So, yeah, excuse me. I'll be doing remember, episode 6 theory video is coming out tomorrow, hopefully. So get ready for that one. You guys have been watching me. I'm BD Heath, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out, and have a good one. Okay?